My name is Dr. Nova Evans and I am the co-founder and medical director of Sunny Street.
And my name is Sonia Goodwin and I am the nursing director and co-founder of Sunny Street. Sunny Street is a mobile doctor and nurse-led outreach service and we provide healthcare to people experiencing homelessness and vulnerability across southeast Queensland.
The problem is that homelessness is growing. There are more and more people throughout Australia living on the streets. And also experiencing the many different forms of homelessness, because it's not just people who are sleeping rough in parks. The problem is that when you're living on the streets, your healthcare problems get worse, and it all contributes to a terrible spiral of a person's lifestyle declining. We have a great healthcare system in Australia, and we're very lucky to live in Australia with our system. But once you've been disenfranchised and you've lost hope in your life, and you've lost connection with the healthcare profession, and your only real access is emergency departments, you really start to be cut off from accessing, a general practitioner.
And what we found when we looked at the data was there's around at least over 116,000 people who are homeless in Australia. There's over 15,000 children under 12 on the streets as well. And we found that under 25 years old, that age group is actually the second highest group experiencing homelessness. And when we spoke to people living on the street or in caravan parks or temporary housing, we found there was a lot of access issues to our fantastic healthcare system, and we wanted to provide help.
So some of the barriers that we know people experiencing homelessness or complex vulnerability face are everything from transport through to cost, through to social access, through to jumping through the paperwork and all the hoops that you have to go through when you walk into a medical centre. There's a lot of people who experience mental health issues or have drug and alcohol and addiction problems. And sometimes the paperwork alone, let alone sitting in the waiting room for a prolonged period of time, sometimes is just too difficult for them. And it's just too much to get through in order to actually get in front of a doctor.
So originally when we began, we also had our own naivety around homelessness, and there's a great stigma around homelessness that people experiencing homelessness are either drug users or have mental health issues, and that's how they became homeless, and that's actually not the case in majority of cases. So we found that quite often we sit with business owners, registered nurses, doctors, corporate people, CEOs, COOs who have made risky decisions, lost their job, lost money, lost their family, and have ended up on the street. So it's actually a horrific pathway, and really quite confronting to know that we're absolutely a couple of paychecks away from being homeless ourselves, and that it can happen to anyone. So that definitely debunks the stigma around homelessness for us, and anybody engaged with Sunny Street actually hear those stories every day.
It's very important to realise that it's a slippery slope to homelessness, and the patients, whilst every patient has a different story, there are certainly similarities with them all, and it often a big part of it is the loss of their social structure, so the loss of their family and their friendships. And so we were certainly confronted as we started working in Sunny Street, thinking about who we thought we were going to look after is completely different to who we know we now look after. And so that's been an amazing thing to realise. So thinking about particularly the stigma around drug and alcohol problems or mental health problems. What I say to that is actually, I think the biggest statistic that reflects the need for Sunny Street is that over 80% of our patients don't have anyone to list as their next of kin. And so that speaks volumes to me, to the problem of people experiencing homelessness and complex vulnerability, more so than whether they've got drug and alcohol problems or addiction problems. I'd also say that living on the streets is hard, and if you don't have a drug and alcohol problem or a mental health problem before you start living on the streets, you're sure as heck gonna end up on the pathway to having some kind of issue like that.